All right, so quick review of Chapter 7, review stuff. So first one, say draw an angle with a given measure in standard position. State the quadrant. So remember when we're going from standard position, we start on the x-axis. This is negative. There's 90, there's 180, there's 270. The whole way around is 360 degrees. So there we go. So there's negative 340 degrees, and it is in quadrant 1. 220. So we go counterclockwise. There's 90, there's 180, there's approximately 220. It is in the third quadrant. 11 pi over 6. It's pretty close to 2 pi. It's negative 2 pi. So we'll go around here somewhere down in this area. Negative 11 pi over 6. If we want to check it and change it to degrees, we can change it to degrees times 180 over pi. Pi's are going to go ahead and cancel each other out. That's 30, so it's equal to negative 330 degrees. That's about where we were. 7 pi over 4. Going back in the counterclockwise direction, it's positive. That's pi. There's 3 pi over 2, so it's a little bit more than that. I'm going to go in here somewhere. So there's 7 pi over 4. I'm sorry, this was in quadrant 1. This is in quadrant 4. And again, if you want to check it to make sure, multiply by 180 over pi. Pi's cancel out. That's 45. 7 times 45 is 315 degrees. So that's equivalent to 315 degrees. And you're done. Find a positive and negative coterminal angle. So to find a positive coterminal angle, add 360. So 215 plus 360 is 575. Subtract 360 to get your negative one. And you get 215 minus 360, negative 145. So negative 255, again, we're going to add 360, and we're going to subtract 360. We add 360, we get 105. If we subtract 360, we get negative 615. Remember, coterminal means they have the same measure, angle measure. Positive and negative for 11 pi over 6. So we're going to go 11 pi over 6. We're going to add a 2 pi and subtract 2 pi. So 11 pi over 6. So we've got 2 pi. 2 pi is the same thing as what over 6? That would be not 12. No, it'd be 12 pi over 6. It'd be 12 pi over 6, so we're going to add 12 pi over 6 and subtract 12 pi over 6. So 23 pi over 6 and negative 1 pi over 6. Sorry about that. Negative 3/4 pi. So 2 pi is the same thing as what over 4, so we have a common denominator. 4 times 2 is 8, so that's 8 pi. So we're going to go negative 3 pi over 4 plus 8 pi over 4, and negative 3 pi over 4 minus 8 pi over 4. So that's 5 pi over 4 and negative 11 pi over 4. So there are your solutions for the coterminal angles. Find the measure of the reference angle, 345 degrees. We're going to draw 345. So there's 345 in there. kind of the way we taught it. We dropped this down, that vertical. We're not going to do the exact trig values, but I'd like to draw that vertical line to the x-axis. That shows me that that is the reference angle right in there. So I'm at 345. I got to get to 360. So that tells me that's 15 degrees. 150 degrees. Again, we draw it somewhere right in there. I'm going to drop down that angle just to help us out here. I've gone 150. I got to go 180. So that's 30 degrees. Those are those two reference angles. 7 pi over 4. If we draw 7 pi over 4, again, if you want to, change it to a degree and then go from there. You're certainly welcome to do that. You don't have to do that. Okay, if you go 7 pi over 4, 7 divided by 4 is about 1.75. So it's going to go in here somewhere. We're going to draw this up right there. And we're at 7 pi over 4. And we got to get to 2 pi. So I have to add pi over 4. Yeah. So it's pi over 4. And again, if you want to change it to degree and do it that way, you certainly can. 7 pi over 4 times 180 over pi. I think we did this one already. That's 315. So that's 315 degrees, and you got to get to 360 degrees. So that's 45 degrees, which is pi over 4. And the last one, 11 pi over 3. 11 pi over 3 is about 3.66. So we're going around into here again. We're going to draw this up here. Now we're at 11 pi over 3. And we have to get to, that's almost, so we got to get to 4 pi, which is 12 pi over 3. So this is going to be pi over 3. Probably not the right spot to put that, but whatever. It's pi over 3, pi over 4. Again, if you want to go 11 pi over 3 times 180 over pi, 11 times 180 divided by 3, that's 660. And you got to get to 720. So that was 660. You got to get to 720. And that's 60 degrees, which is pi over 3. Convert from degrees to radians. So to convert from degrees to radians, you're going to multiply by pi over 180. So we've got negative 120 pi over 180. Now you reduce 120 over 8. 60 goes into both of them, so negative 2 pi over 3. 330 then times pi over 180. So 330 pi over 180. That's 33 pi over 18. 3 goes into both of them, so 11 pi over 9. And again, all I'm doing is reducing the fraction, the numbers. So 300, I think you see the pattern now, so it'd be 300 pi over 180, which would be 30 pi over 18, which should be 15 pi over 9, which would be 5 pi over 3. Make sure you reduce it all the way. And then negative 315 pi over 180. Again, just reduce them. If you want to use the ABC button on your calculator, feel free. And you reduce this, you get negative 7 pi over 4. And again, just reducing 315 over 180. Convert radians to degrees. So you're going to multiply by 180 over pi. Pi's cancel out. Could reduce, but I'm just going to go 11 times 180 divided by 4. It's 11 times 180 divided by 4, 495. Okay, so times 180 over pi, pi's cancel out. 5 times 180 divided by 6, so 150 degrees. Times 180 over pi, pi's cancel out. 5 times 180 divided by 4, negative 225 degrees. And 180 over pi, pi's cancel out. 10 times 180 divided by 3 is negative 600 degrees. And you're done. Find the exact value of the trigonometric function. So negative 330, so we're going to drop this down. The terminal's already done for us, so the measure of that angle is 30 degrees. So we've got a 30, 60, 90 degree triangle. So opposite is 1, the hypotenuse is 2, opposite the 60 is the square root of 3. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Remember, we go from the reference angle, which is 30 degrees. So that's the square root of 3 over 2. Tangent for 210. Okay, so we've got our 210. I'm going to draw my vertical line. Again, we've got a 30 degree angle. This is going down now, so it's going to be negative 1. Hypotenuse is going to be 2. It's going to be the square root of 3, but it's going to be negative because we're going to the left. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. So negative 1 over negative square root of 3. Got to multiply by the square root of 3 over the square root of 3. So that gives us, a negative and negative is going to give us positive. So that'll give us the square root of 3 over the square root of 9, which is just 3. There it is. Secant 225. Drop it down. It's going to be a 45 degree angle. Ends in a 5. It's going to be 45. So we got 45, 45, 90. So 1, negative 1, and the square root of 2. Secant is hypotenuse over adjacent. So the hypotenuse is the square root of 2. Adjacent is negative 1. So the negative square root of 2. Answers are down here somewhere. Yeah, we're doing fine. 7 pi over 4. Okay, so again, depending on how you want to do it, you go 7 pi over 4, change it to degrees. So 180 over pi, cancel, cancel. 7 times 180 divided by 4. So that's 315. Draw it. We've got a 45, 45, 90. So our legs are 1 and 1. This one's down, so it's negative, square root of 2. Secant again. So adjacent over hypotenuse. Hypotenuse over adjacent. That's the square root of 2 over 1, which is just the square root of 2. The sine of 5 pi over 6. And again, I just like to do it like this. I think it's just easier. There's little tricks in here too, but it gives us 150 degrees. So if I drop this down, that's going to give me a 30, 60, 90. So opposite the 30 is 1. Hypotenuse is 2. Opposite the 60 is the square root of 3. Sine, opposite over hypotenuse. So the answer for this is 1/2. Cosecant, 4 pi over 3, negative 4 pi over 3, times 180 over pi. So 4 times 180 divided by 3, so negative 240. So that's negative 240. So if I drop this down, then I got to get back to negative 180. So that gives me a 60 degree reference angle. So that's a 1, negative 1. Hypotenuse is 2, and that's the square root of 3. Cosecant is hypotenuse over opposite. So that's 2 over the square root of 3, which of course we can't have. Multiply by that, so 2 times the square root of 3 over 3. Number 27, cosecant of negative 225. There's 90, 180, somewhere right in there. It ends in a 5. Drop this down. So it's going to be a 45, 45, 90. So 1, negative 1, and the square root of 2. Cosecant is hypotenuse over opposite. So your answer for this is the square root of 2. Cotangent of 150. There's 150. Drop down. Got 150. Got to go to 180. So that's a 30. So we've got 1 to 2 to the negative square root of 3. Cotangent is adjacent over opposite. So our answer is the negative square root of 3. How are we doing? We seem to be doing okay. Where are we at? I'm back up here somewhere. Sine of negative 60. There's negative 60. Draw this up here. Well, that's going to make that a 60, 30. So that's 1. That's 2. That's the negative square root of 3. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So negative square root of 3 over 2. Negative 330. There it is. Drop it down. 30, 60, 90, 1 to 2 to the square root of 3. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, so the square root of 3 over 2. 11 pi over 6. So we're going to multiply it by 180 over pi. 11 times 180 divided by 6 is 330 degrees. So 330 degrees. Drop this here. That gives us a 30, 60, 90. That's negative 1 to 2 to the square root of 3. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. So negative 1 over the square root of 3. Of course, you can't have that. So that equals this negative square root of 3 over 3. 3 pi over 4, 180 over pi. 3 times 180 divided by 4 is 135. Again, you don't have to do that way. If you know another way to do it that way. That just works out fine. There's a little trick in there, and maybe your teacher taught you the trick. I did not teach my class the trick, so I'm just going to kind of do it how I did mine. But if your teacher taught you the trick, just determine if it's 30, 60, 90 at your reference angle, or 45, 45, 90, or 60 at the reference angle. Use that. 1, negative 1, square root of 2. Secant is the opposite of the cosine. So hypotenuse over adjacent. So it's going to be the negative square root of 2. It should be the square root of 2 over negative 1. At least I think that's what it is. Let's go down to 32. Look at that. Negative square root of 2. I got it right. 2 left. 2 pi over 3. So 180 over pi. 2 times 180 divided by 3 is 120 degrees. Should be getting pretty good at these by now. There's 120 degrees. Drop it down. I got to get to 180, so that makes that 60. Opposite to 30 is 1. Hypotenuse is 2. That's going to be negative 1. And then the square root of 3. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. So the square root of 3 over negative 1. So the negative square root of 3. And the last one, secant of 120. We just did this. So there's 120. Drop it down. That gives us 60, 30, so negative 1 to 2 to the square root of 3. Secant is the opposite of the cosine, so that would be hypotenuse over adjacent, so 2 over negative 1. So negative 2 is your solution. Answers are down there. I went through it pretty quick. I think I'm okay. If I made a mistake, I apologize. It certainly wasn't intentional. Kind of scooted through this a little fast, so wanted to get her done here before school started. So good luck on the test. Whenever it is you have it, if you have any questions, make sure you stop in and talk to your teacher prior to school, the day of the test. Have a good one, everybody.